we're going to get one more little casted game. This one will be different. We'll watch other people play and try to take a look at how they're playing. We have some people who are pretty experienced in this lobby. And we'll kind of take a look in inventory. So we'll let them kind of play it out and just try to get a sense of what they're going for, how it might differ from, you know, a competitive meta. So look at the center. It's actually a pretty dense cluster, especially this one facing Corrino. Usually as Corrino, you never want to drop near the center. That puts a target on your back. This might be like a sole exception where the number of nearby territories you can drop near creates a natural defense. So you can have 2 or 3 turrets here, 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 all around that main base. And even if they wanted to attack, they will be fighting into a huge bunker near the middle. And a worm's nest, right? It gives you more spice, but also the you know, thing people often forget about is you attract the worm faster. And so if you're Corrino and you're defending on this territory, this is, you know, the worm's gonna feast pretty fucking well. So we'll start off with Corrino. Corrino, again, typically you'll come down solid materials. You'll get 2 or 3 of your greens, and then usually integrated cost. Integrated cost is nice because it gives you just passive slurry production in all these neighboring regions, and it stacks on top of itself. So if you were to drop here, this region would get 10 from this base and 10 from that base. And so dropping and playing kind of tall gets rewarded, right? 50 passive slurry generation just from a single base is often doable, but usually you want to keep 1 or 2 of these territories near your main for pillaging, okay? This versatile quirk is very, very good for Corrino on fuel cells. And that's because with their geothermal condensers, you get water and slurry in addition to extra resource production with those fuel cells. So this can actually end up producing a fair amount once Corrino builds it up. And it's usually a pretty good candidate for dropping near one. If we zoom out a little bit, he hasn't yet discovered this, but this is a drop that secures him a second source of fuel cells, 2 specials including Worm's Nest, and then a nice bunkered position, right? So it's a little bit a little risky, because again, we usually say don't drop in the middle, that's suicidal. Especially if you have base-killing factions nearby. Fremen is not a base-killing faction, but they are an aggro faction. And then Hark always loves to blow up a base. Very good at it. Looking at the rest of his options, right? He's got a spice field up here. I wouldn't quite say this is safe, because there's no bunkerable area nearby from which he can protect it. Arguably, maybe this one. Another thing you got to watch out for as Corrino, and the reason that you go with Fenring is, as you pick up these POIs, you're just going to find stuff. So you want to always be clicking ABCs of Corrino, always be clicking with Fenring. You'll get these earlier military researches, right? So he's going to end up probably finishing mechanization or recruitment initiative as soon as it's done. And then immediately when he's done, he goes for another one. The second thing you got to remember is, as you're picking those up, you want to find these sieges if there's a Fremen in the lobby, because this siege is what's going to allow the Fremen to project power. So let's say you do take this region. You need to be aware that he's probably going to be able to spawn here and liberate it, right? And so, being mindful of that, you may opt to put a missile battery down, missile battery here, staff this up with militia ASAP, or, you know, get an early mechanization. Often this might get achieved incidentally by picking up one of these military techs. Looks like he forgot the ABCs and he's not. Oh, there's clicking that one. Getting an early mechanization lets you have a single arty drone here. We'll be able to reach this. And so if you wanted to protect it from under the comfort of the main base, you can do that. More importantly, it means that you can destroy this siege. You can pillage it pretty early with this kind of train. Okay, and that early siege pillage is going to give you authority, but it's also going to give you 3k slurry. So for Corrino, especially with the Fremen in the lobby, your first thought is, how do I make sure I'm safe, and how do I build up all my shit? Okay. So he's doing a good job here. He does need a source of manpower. That can be this back area. This versatile region, I think, is probably a little more appealing, just because you have the versatile quirk. You can get 2 reds in investment office. I don't know, probably a spice silo on there. And that gives you 4 reds, 1 blue, and 1 yellow, and that'll give you a spice here on this on these regions. So it's not the worst Corrino spawn I've ever seen. But it does mean that dropping is going to be an interesting choice. So that's probably how I think about it. The second option is down here, right? Now there's no specials, so that's the big downside. The other thing you want to look for as Corrino is this quirk, right? The strong network. This, along with their ability to have 6 buildings and double build with Irulan, means you can just crank intel like crazy, and then it's just, you just drop orbitals on people. It's kind of stupid at a certain point, but both of these regions are intel regions, right? Analyst quirk, you can get 6 to 8 intel production, plus Corrino, remember, gets additional production when their buildings are built out. So both of these are going to stand to give him intel production into the mid to late game, if he were to drop here, for example. And this last region down here is, okay, another... So let's say he really feels okay up here and is tight on his intel quirks up here, which he actually is, right? He doesn't have a whole lot of intel options around his main base. Dropping here gives him plenty of intel production, right? 6, 8, probably like 14 or something like that. So he could easily make 30 a day between having a double blue with a monument in the main base, in each base, and that. He could easily hit 40 intel a day, and that's going to be an orbital every 10 days or so. But again, he's not going to be getting a whole lot of specials from that. So I think both of those are options. Both of those are bunkerable pretty easily, and both of those would allow him a solid look into late game. Both of them will have sieges nearby. So he has options, but we'll see what he goes with. Fremen went with Ramallo and Stilgar. I think it's probably the simplest combo you can choose. Ramallo's just giving you intel production on every single spice field. So you play as you normally would another faction. That intel is super, super helpful as Fremen. And it actually looks like he might be going for some early pillaging. I don't think of the enemy, but of just this village, and I actually think it's a very good idea, right? Whenever you pillage near an enemy, it's a village they don't get to pillage. So it's a double whammy. This is a very smart idea to pillage this. I would not capture this unless he's intending to kill Ecaz. But I would certainly take Imperial Basin and bunker this up, and take this and have a triple bunker here. Into the late game, this is actually a little scary to be this close to Ecaz, because they can always, use a fog and farm you if you engage them improperly. But this is certainly an Imperial Basin he needs to grab to get his manpower production up. And on the other side is Acid Lakes. So Ecaz is in a very tough spot here. Ecaz can be a very, very slow faction to get off the ground. You can play it in kind of a cagey way, but I think the goal is, unless you're going to die, you're going to take your licks, right? You're going to accept that you're going to not have a great time early, and you're going to focus instead on building up strong enough to be opportunistic and reach out later. So practically, how does he play this? He is not favored for White Rift. He can certainly take the Spice Field, but it's not going to produce a Sanctuary, another Sanctuary. He's pretty trapped, if I'm being honest. And so one option, which I think is a very reasonable option as Ecaz, you build up a little bit. You're going to move here once you hit 5k. You're going to grab this, and you're going to make this or this a Sanctuary. Or your garden, rather. That garden's going to make this a huge pain in the ass for Fremen to attack. But it's probably... And, does he actually see the siege yet? He does. Okay, so he sees where the siege is. He's actually trading with it. He should definitely farm the fuck out of this, but also he needs to look at pillaging this ASAP. But this is like a worst-case scenario for Ecaz, right? Fremen can liberate this. He just needs donkeys. And the donkeys will help him outrange and out-trade the manpower of the musket. So this is actually a bad Ecaz spawn. Ecaz could just die here if Fremen so wanted to do that. Because their max range on their units is 35, and the donkey's max range is 35 too. So he's actually gonna, he's gonna come here and take. This is not a good idea, right? You take this, and then you attack. And then he does not have Jamis, so he can't really pump his manpower out. But he does have Stilgar, and so Stilgar is gonna give Fremen extra resources when he trades with them. You can see his siege trades here. He's got 12 Solari from siege trades. He's got 1 manpower siege, it looks like. And so what he needs to do is he needs to just kind of focus on getting his eco and manpower up, and then he needs to go for this and just try to out-trade Ecaz over this territory. But Ecaz is doing the right thing here. He's bunkered this up preemptively with some heavy militia early, so it's not a free pillage or a free liberation. He's placing down a missile battery, and his whole game right now is just going to be pillage, get money. You could take this. It probably is going to get, taken off you, though, if you're not careful. But he needs to take this and he needs to bunker this up and probably make one of them a garden. Right. Once he has all three of these, then I think it's pretty secure, and he gains another sanctuary over here. But for Fremen, if Fremen wants this deep desert, that's kind of their play. Look at the Fremen spot here. He's doing the right stuff. Again, you always want to take these fuel cell regions. These are what's going to give you your late game scaling for Fremen. All the rest of it's kind of irrelevant, right? The only thing I would say is if you're going to go for manpower and knowledge, science hubs for knowledge, they have pretty high upkeep. And so I would try to cluster them in regions that are adjacent to other regions, just so that you can put down an upkeep production building and save yourself a lot of money. So if he takes this, which he should, it does low wind. I would avoid putting wind on this, and then I would just put a upkeep production building on that.
We're here.
Over this region, he has really nice versatile quirk. He has Imperial Basin. He's getting manpower off that. And again, if he just plays this conservatively, if we look at his manpower production, he'll be able to outproduce Ecaz if he wants, right? Ecaz here with 3 villages and 1 agent, so he's got a total of about 14 manpower compared to the nearly 20 of Fremen. So this is something where if he wants to outmuscle him, he can. It's just going to be a hard bunker to bust once Acid Lakes is up and running. But this is a good play from Ecaz. This is exactly how you have to survive here. And let's say Fremen wanted to fight. You got to be really, really cagey. So Fremen's going to come here and try to go for the energy sources. This is the right idea because he needs a military base facing these if he wants to end up taking them. Okay. Another bad part about this specific Acid Lakes is sometimes you'll have a village near the border, and every village, once you trigger the capture, it'll have a circle around it. If it's overlapping another region, you can place a unit in that neighboring region, and it'll still proc or continue the liberation without getting affected by the health drain. But taking either of these is totally fine. The next thing you want to do, once he takes this, is build a building right here. This is then going to project a little aura around that building in which you can resupply and heal. So that's going to be Fremen's way of dealing with Acid Lakes, is having a place to resupply. But this is where building placement actually makes a pretty big difference when you're doing aggro. As early on, if he takes this, he needs to think, okay, how am I going to be able to take this more easily? And that's how he's going to do it. Okay, let's take a look over here at Hark. Hark's gone with Piter and Kudu. And already from here, just like, we'll take a look at Hark's perspective. If you're a Hark and you see three spice fields, in like one screen, that's already a pretty good start. So let's see what he has here. He has militia slot, which is essentially +5 production on that spice field. Another militia slot and hard workers, right? So a total of 15% there. What's this one down here? Another militia slot. Wow, nice. Then up here in the corner, right, closer to where we'd seen Corrino possibly expanding, he has another one up here. So probably, I think likely, he has 4 spice fields. That's enough to chome for Hark, right? If Smug's in the lobby, then 4 is also going to empower them quite a bit. This is good. And as Hark, you can be pretty judicious in how you expand, right? You can take your early treaties as well. Right, if you're going to get these, I would also go for a knowledge resource pack, because they go really, really hard once they get all these techs, right? For them to chome effectively, they need to kind of go down, well, certainly chome support, but usually martial economy too, and that's all of these techs, and usually also down in a civilian defense force, so they can oppress effectively. This is a lot. It's actually not a bad setup, and you can see it's good plascrete, water, upkeep production, hitting all these. He'll probably put down, my guess is probably a furnace here at some point, or a spice silo, but this is a really good little start. He has an easy white rift. He has to continually pillage this. And white rift with youthful eagerness, this is a good opportunity for him to also cap this at some point, to bunker up and exploit this youthful eagerness quirk. Right, but Hark has a very tight center of production here. He has a cruiser wreck, which again, you want to get this ASAP so you get an early overlord. Early overlords are almost impossible for people to deal with because it's just going to trade out so much manpower effectively. So we already see some aggro down here. This is the perk, right, of having Romalos. You get manpower that's cheap enough that you can place these defense sabotages early. And so the only thing he's missing here is he needs this warrior to come here and attack this turret to draw the fire. There you go. And he wants to stay out of the acid lakes as much as he can, but he's doing the right thing. He wants to kill the enemy army and then go deal with the militia. He can go back and heal in between, but you want to take your time. You also want to save units as much as you can. So him doing a full retreat here is not a bad idea. I would save these units because replenishing is a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper than rebuilding. And let's see, once this is all done, Fremen's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units versus 3, right? So heal up and then you go again. You just wipe this unit. Make sure he has no standing army because the militia and these guys are easy enough to deal with, right? You're gonna attack the building. You can draw the units out of the acid lakes to kill the militia, and then you can liberate. He's going parallel training, Star Reliance, good, really smart. Again, this lets him ally this up. Let's make sure he's allied to it actually. Yep, and then he'll be able to call in units to liberate this. Now, fencers are not a bad unit, despite what people say. The stats on them are actually pretty standard. The ability is pretty good at low numbers of units. So this is where having a donkey makes the whole thing a lot more effective. One, he needs to militia this up for the same reason we mentioned before. Two, he does need to get a military base there or missile battery there, again, to resupply on. Another nice one about it here. Okay, so interesting. So he's placing a masterpiece. So he might say, "I'm gonna lose this." And that's fine. And
We'll obey your wish.
this is a case for Mesa. If you're expecting early aggro from a smugger from a lobby, I would say Mesa's worth going with, because if you have to fight over something and you abandon it, you get that refund of your authority. It's not that bad, right? We zoom out a bit. You know, Ecaz is floating a bit of authority. They're all actually floating a little bit of authority. Corrino's being left alone. Hark's taken a really nice sandfall, which is great. And we're not yet sure where Corrino's going to go. He has no manpower production. I misspoke. He has 1 manpower production. It doesn't look like he's Imperial Administration, so this is a big error, I think. This is probably one of the most important quirks for Corrino to get early is Imperial Administration. You can get by with these 3 techs to integrated costs. Usually multiple parts also helps if you have a couple spice fields. And then these 3. And that, you know, once you have your command post up, is enough to really sustain an army for the most part if you have decent quirks, which, again, his aren't terrible. In this case, I'd also probably go for geothermals, because this is just a really, really nice quirk on a fuel cell region. Now, the other thing he can do, right, with Stalwart Alliance, and we'll see if Fremen can see this yet. He doesn't actually see this village. But what he can do is he can just send 1 guy over there to trigger the liberation and draw Ecaz this way, and then he can do his attack here. But this is where needing these sky gates and these donkeys is super important. These donkeys let you trade over this terrain, and they hit decently hard. Okay. In terms of his composition here, he's missing some important stuff. He's missing a skirmisher. You always need at least 1 skirmisher. And what he should do is he should draw these militia back towards his territory. Right now he's getting hit not just from the Acid Lake Strain, which is a lot. He's also getting hit by all these missile batteries shooting. So his army's almost half health here. The second thing is this is, you know, so he needs to move back here and resupply. Just leave 1 guy, good. And just leave him on the periphery here, so he's out of range of this missile battery.
We are listening.
Okay. There's also an opportunity where a hiding track would be really useful, right? Now the reason that you go for this region first is because it's next to the siege, and you can call on that Stalwart Alliance raiders. He needs one unit to come here and tank this, so that he's not going to lose so much. And he needs to keep one guy in this circle. Good. He's going to retreat these back. Hopefully he'll save these.
Our lives are yours. We serve to the best
Yeah,
of
if you
our
look at the
capacity.
Squire here, right? The Squire has 7 armor. The Infiltrators usually have, only 12 power in this one. So 5 damage per attack, 2 attacks a second. So essentially 10. It's pretty similar to the Warrior for DPS. They just have a lot less survivability, right? This Skirmisher is going to increase their damage from 5 per hit to 7 per hit, which is, like a 40% increase from having a single debuff. So that's why you need to have a Skirmisher, and you need to keep them alive in your army. Is the amount of DPS you're going to have in an increase from one unit is massive. Okay. So Fremen's not quite doing the most effective trading here. He does have Ecaz now in the red. And again, the moment that Ecaz can make one of these a garden, that territory it's just going to be a huge pain in the butt to take. So he might have missed his window here. He's going spying logistics. Interesting. Like the Lance Rad. Hark would love this. I think everyone would kind of like some free cheap stuff. So Corrino's gone with something very different from back. So we had mentioned dropping up here. He's elected to drop right here. Now, I don't hate it. The upside is that, he'll be closer to this triple bunker here, so we can have 2 turrets on Worm's Nest, and then 1 here in the center, and he has overlapping fire. So this is fine for a drop. I think I still would have preferred to see it up here to also contest this Moondew, but let's see what quirks he gets. He's not really amplifying anything special, but I guess this is a free polar sync. But with a free polar sync, I mean, you still drop up here, right? We'll see. Looks like there's some sort of trade here. Fremen missed attacks through all of this, trying to make his economy work. It probably means he also has a... no trade agreement, just a research agreement. Okay. So Fremen's pouring a ton of resources into this. This is where Jamis is a big boon, is you can just press that button, ramp up your production. He's got 230 authority saved up here. Let's take a look over in Harkonnen land. So Hark's done a very good job of taking Sandfall. Now Hark basically has this half of the map to himself, right? That's a quarter of the map. Which is amazing. It's all pillage territory. He gets a cruiser wreck, and again, if he gets this up ASAP, I think he's in a really good, chance to win. He's got a nice White Rift that favors him down here. He's got spice fields, 3 or 4 spice fields. He'll have all these territories to pillage, and also have a nice Mount Idaho here. So Hark has a really good situation. In terms of his techs, at this point, yeah. So he's coming down the yellow techs. After this, he just needs to beeline to catch up on his reds. Then he can come down as Spying Master if he wants. Usually you want to do that with Piter so that you can get your interrogation office and get your intel machine going. Start spamming Vapors. Against Corrino, it's super important to use Vapors. You can reduce the health, this conscript blob, and then use your gunners to focus down the SARs. It makes a lot more even of a fight. For Fremen, he's gonna finally go down Sand Brotherhood, I guess. This is gonna help keep him solvent. Again, Sand Brotherhood alone is probably gonna be, with the Bazaar, and then trading with the Sieges is gonna be enough to kind of sustain your 65 CP. He doesn't have any main base buildings built, though. So he's already at a pretty big disadvantage by prioritizing some of these really expensive things. And again, I don't see any upkeep reduction here. So a single maintenance center here, right, would save him like 4 8, 12, can't do math, 16, something like 16 Sorry a day, plus whatever this other shit is, the wind trap and all this other stuff. So, you know, he stands to actually save quite a bit from a single maintenance center here. It actually probably would keep him, it'd probably have the deficit that he's in. Other stuff that he has a great volcano, which is amazing. He's got another cave down here. He has a cave down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 6 caves for Fremen is really good. That's where Fremen becomes an absolute menace. So yeah, he has an opportunity here. He also has a decent amount of spice fields, right? He's got 1, 2, 3, probably 4. So with Ramallah, that's going to be another 12 intel per day he's making. So if he's able to eco up a little bit, he's in a really good spot. He will have to, at some point, reckon with this base in the middle. This base in the middle is close enough to Fremen that Fremen probably wants to destroy it. Otherwise, Fremen's going to have to deal with an airfield or a Kronos, you know, landing people here on his border, and then making a play for his base. Which, honestly, might be what Corrino's thinking. No, they're still at war. Okay. So let's see what... so Fremen's doing Sand Brotherhood. Again, he needs to go sky gazing and military propaganda. And then, often I'll recommend Desert Watchers. Being able to be stealthed in your territory gives you that bonus of him not knowing where you are or what you have. So every time they want to make a push, every time they want to do something, they got to think critically about where within your territory you might be, or by what seat you might be. Over here, looks like Ecaz is pillaging this. This should have been Fremen's cue to come back over and go for this army. There's no missile battery here. He's just got these 4 units, 5 units. He should really pull them back to heal and cycle these out so he has fresh units on top. But Fremen needs to press this region. And this is what's going to help him to, you know, get those raiders to come liberate it. Once he's done with that, then he can make a push on to Acid Lakes. But right now, Acid Lakes is kind of unpleasant. And again, donkeys are really going to do him a whole lot of good here if he can remember to build our most sacred steed. Another thing, he should be at 5k now, so some Fadakin are also really, really useful against Squires, which are pretty tanky otherwise. And some of these are actually perfected. Interesting.
You honor us, fair lady.
Muskets are loaded.
She's going for a single recruitment. So recruitment center in a single slot for Ecaz I think is a really good idea. It helps you to speed up what's usually something a little bit later you get, which is your red tech. But also you need so much manpower, right? Ecaz doesn't get that bonus that Fremen gets. So recruitment initiatives, 20% manpower production. So Fremen builds, you know, gets their tier 2 red and gets, I mean, Fremen doesn't have shit, but, you know, they can get up to 50% manpower production there. Ecaz doesn't have that tech, so they really need this to help them accumulate enough to make these more expensive perfected units.
Muskets are loaded.
Otherwise, let's see what he has. Range attack's good, good. Yeah, all this is fine. You know, actually, so this is a kind of a problem, and I see these people do this often. This 10% more damage against non-mechanical units, this is going to add up to about 0 damage. Because this is going to be a marginal increase, right? This is not based on their total damage, it's added to the other bonuses that skirmishers get. So skirmishers will get 20% damage per unit hit as their base ability. 10%. So let's look at an unarmored unit. A best case scenario, a musketeer, right? No armor. And so it does 5 damage. If you hit 1 unit, that goes up to 6 damage. If you hit 2 units, it goes up to 7 damage, 8 damage, etc. You're talking about a half damage increase is what you get by taking that. A half damage per unit hit. Which is... against a blob, yeah, it's an extra, you know, 2.5. Against 5 units, maybe 6, maybe 3 damage per volley. Against unarmored units. Against armored units, it's not going to do anything. Instead, increases survivability. So right now, you know, one of the big issues with Fremen is that they're their Fredaken have less health than most 5 CP units. If you can increase their survivability, they become a lot scarier.
We're listening.
And here's just an issue with Micro. He's a few lapses here. Now he can definitely jump on these muskets are way overextended, right? Oh, bummer. That's where a hiding track's useful too. Also, a storm's coming in, so you know it's hard to sometimes zoom out and see it. But this right now would be catastrophic if he catches it. This would wipe the Ecaz army because all of these are going to go down. In addition, these units are slower by 30%, and they have -3 armor. So even these squires, right? If you have a skirmisher hit these squires, they're only going to have 2 armor. They will get shredded by infiltrators. So this is his window right here. Attacking right now, he wipes this army in no time. Then he goes back to heal. Then he goes for these villages. But this is a pretty long storm. Very well timed too. I just little unfortunate the Fremen doesn't see this. This is a huge opportunity. Wow. But that's something where, again, this is something you can't really plan for, which it'd be really neat if Fremen had some ability to see where the storm was or when it's going to be there. That'd be a really neat addition. So Ecaz can take this opportunity to do what we said, which is expand here, get a sanctuary, and get a third trigger of militia and of a missile battery that Fremen will have to fight through. And once he has this, then this is so much easier for him to take. And these two are still going to be a little pain in the butt, but there's not a whole lot of worm territory here, so Ecaz should be kind of favored in some of these fights. But this is a very well played by Ecaz on how to resist some of this early Fremen aggression, how to expand thoughtfully, right? If he'd went up here, I think that he would have probably aggroed Hark and been in some trouble. Corrino has been sitting in the corner having a great time. He's going for triple red in the main, double yellow. This is kind of unusual. Usually you want to see a double blue with a monument. That's going to help you to produce this intel passively. And then he's going to go for triple blue at the top. Single blue there. Where's his... Yeah, so getting the monument down early is really important. It almost doesn't matter where you put it, but right, you can put it as one of your 2 double blues, so you could have a research center and an Emperor monument. That's going to give you 6 influence production and 10 intel production per day, which is amazing. But in addition, whatever you put in the single slot, right, whatever you're actually having a longer, or maybe you're going to get later in the game, like maybe you're going to go your Chom tech a little bit later, or maybe you're going to finish your military tech or your blue tech. With a monument there, you can get a double application of that research bonus that you put in the 1 slot. So that's going to help you to really speed through whichever branch you don't go early. In addition to the, doubling the other more impactful bonuses. He's gone for building out his worm's nest a bit. Fun. This region is kind of lackluster, if I'm being honest. He's got a sink. Tons of water. Not using it for research, though, interestingly. And then... Okay. That's a choice. Yeah, so I think with these energy sources, these fuel cells, he'd be better off making... He has got Imperial. This is a huge misplay by Corrino, missing out on these quirks. Okay. Looking at Hark. So Hark has everything he needs except for Chom support. He's missing out on one of the bigger tempo swings you can get with Chom, which is the spice exchange rate and Chom buying price. So, unless he's in a hurry to assassinate someone, especially as Hark, I think you can usually afford to get Chom support to build out a little more thoroughly. Let's take a look at the main bases. Carthag, he's gone with... Okay, he's going to go triple yellow, double blue, probably another double blue over here with Interrogation Center and maybe Intelligence Agency. And then up here, probably his Chom branch. Taking a look here. It's a nice exchange rate too, and he's got all of his crew. Okay.
Is our home.
So you can see that when Hark does want to make money, they can certainly make money. Look Look at the show market itself. Not really buying a whole lot yet. Looks like he's hit 10k and he's chosen, I imagine, yeah, that's right, Raban as his guy. Now this is an interesting choice from Corrino. It's kind of isolated here, this region. He does not have a huge army. And this might be a misplay too. He doesn't seem built out. Hark's not built out either, but if Hark has some operations, he can do some real damage here, like this, and take this off of Corrino. Oh, he should take this!
Can I help you, Father?
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, it looks like Ecaz actually gonna take this. Yeah, it looks like he's gonna take the spice field and build it out, I guess. It's not a bad idea, because he can convert this as well into a sanctuary and grab this fuel cell. I'm not sure where the garden's gonna go. I don't see any versatile quirks here for him to use easily. Oh, there's one right here. What am I talking about? Okay. Well, if he grabs White Rift, this would make a fine, versatile area. So Fremen, the other thing I'll say is usually is Fremen, right? You want to finish out your red relatively early. You want to finish out much of your greens early. For yellows, you really just need these three to kind of be solvent. If you have like 2 or 3 caves, I think it's always worth getting shared transcendence. In this case, he can have 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 and 5. Which is going to be 50 Solari and 5 knowledge, which is a pretty huge boon for Fremen. But he needs to prioritize that if that's how he wants to see scaling into this game. And he also needs to hit 10k. He needs to really build out his military and his main base. He does not have nearly enough invested into his main base, so he does not have 55 CP. He doesn't even have military propaganda yet. He's going for something much more defensive, which is fine, but military propaganda also gives you authority, right? So he's missing out a little bit here. I think some of this is just the eco, right? Again, one maintenance center here would be really, really nice for Fremen.
Listening.
Okay, looks like Fremen was able to pass their Fremen descent and wanted it to go through. Interesting. So you would have thought that they'd wanted it not to pass. They could finish up their red tech. Right now, Ecaz is done with all of theirs. It's really Fremen who needs to catch up. Wow. Maybe you thought it would be a good distraction.
You need help, my lady.
Then we see Whitmore over here as the champ. And this is a pretty standard, Ecaz army comp,
At your
right?
command, my lady. What's the plan? Muskets are loaded.
Yes,
Needs
my
a knight,
lady.
needs some
Our lives are
monuments.
yours.
Or
Ready for
war
the
banners,
hunt.
rather. Let's see, so does he have any fuel cells? Ecaz does not have any. So that's a pretty big issue. He's going for the fusion plant as a result. I think going for this next for a source of fuel cells is really important. Ecaz, Ecaz has really good power bonuses available to them by having Perfecta units. Where's the Perfecta unit?
Yes. We'll obey your wish.
You're in here. There you go. 12% more power. And so that extra power gets additionally amplified by those damage modifiers. So, you can get, I believe it's 10 or 20 from the war banner, 20% military factory, 30% from the monument, plus any other sources through like Alyssa or anything. So,
What do you need?
We got the big
having
game
higher
rifles.
power is going to help you out. And if you're able to, it's just a very fuel cell intensive sort of build, right? Because you need 10 fuel cells for your military factory. You need 10 for your monument. And then you need your war banners too. So smart of him to go with this fusion plan. And the other thing to remember is they don't have reduction in the cost of fuel cells like other factions do, right? All right, taking a look globally. Let's see what people's agents are doing. Nothing special there. Oh, Hark wants to assassinate Corrino, which I'm all about. Yeah, sees everything. Fremen has one guy on each. Interesting. Really trying to crank the manpower production, I guess, or the intel production. Usually you don't need to do this as Fremen. Usually with Ramallo, you'll have more than enough. You could probably shuffle some of these around so he gets additional production on Arrakis here. Interesting. Very interesting. So how is Ecaz going to do this? Probably this finishes up, and that's going to be his timing push to force Fremen off this territory. And I think he's able to. I just don't see Fremen having the military right now. He doesn't even have Fadakin, as far as I can tell, to deal with an Ecaz army.
Serve to the best of our capacity.
He's doing the smart thing here, which is actually building out everything and trying to make his economy a little more solvent. But I think now would be the time, you know, the other timing push, really, for Ecaz to reclaim this fuel cell. We still don't have a whole lot of main base buildings up for Fremen. What else does Fremen have available? So he has sieges, right? And what could he ally up to help him, right? He can obviously get commercial hub if he has valuable trinkets research. That also doubles the intake from these siege trades. He's militia siege there. Yeah. So I don't know. It looks like Ecaz is getting ready. And
Yes, my lady.
he's prepping. Smart. If we take a look at Ecaz's perspective, right? If you're needing to fight within acid
What's the
lakes,
plan?
this is the right move.
Muskets
You want
are
to spread
loaded.
out your structures to create these little bubbles. These bubbles
Ready
will
for the
keep your
hunt.
guys at full health, right? If he
What's
steps
the plan?
outside of them, they'll start going down. So you want to create a bubble of where you're going to fight
At your
using your
command,
buildings.
my lady.
And then it's into this other one, right? He's going to take out some militia. Oh, he's actually going for
For our liege.
shoot, what is he attacking at first? The missile battery, it looks like. Sherman's getting ready. Fremen went with Othame. Good. Again, this is where donkeys are going to help. Donkeys
Our
let him poke
lives are
and deal with
yours.
this. He's going to keep
We
his
got
muskets
the
back
big
here for
rifles.
supply. And he just, I don't think he's going to have the armor
We're ready
penetration
to
deal with
hunt
this army. Does that have
things.
any Fadakin at all? Fadakin is really what you need here. And Fadakin, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're best off going with 10% extra damage, 10% minus damage received for enemy unit. But with Othame, you can actually get away with getting extra CP and then the damage one, because the damage reduction you get from Othame
The desert
and then
will
from the
surprise
skirmisher
you.
ability, which looks like he actually switched it. Okay, interesting. That's usually enough. And he does need to get Ideala Crab and military propaganda up. So he's missing quite a few really important techs here. And he can jump on this, but I would not leave Othame exposed. Othame's going to get popped here if he's not careful. He needs to run Othame away. Othame should be way behind here. Yeah, Othame's going down. This is a bit of a tactical blunder. But you can see how much more damage reduction, right? 46 damage reduction. That's because every unit within this long-range bubble for Othame gets -3 damage that it deals per other unit within that long range. So Ecaz has, we can count it over here, I guess. Oh, Christ. A lot more units. 18, 19 units plus Whitmore, 20 units. And so you see, I guess one of these units isn't actually over here. Wherever it is. Well, you can see that it's 19 applications this, and so they have minus 44% damage. That's how you use Othames. You keep them nearby, you maximize the number of units within a circle, enemy units within the circle, and this actually applies to multiple factions. So if Corrino was here fighting as well with another 20 units, there'd be a total of 40 stacks of confused. So it really helps in these big and especially 2v1 pushes a whole lot better than Shawnee might with that initial first strike. But if Othame is in the back here with all these guys screening, Othame probably lives, right? And he can still apply this debuff and make this a lot more formidable. With that said, the warriors here only have about 18, 19 power. The knight has 12. These squires have 8. So he's really missing out on Fadakin here and donkeys for that background DPS. That was a bit of a blunder with Othame. It's very difficult. What I usually recommend for people trying to worm in, especially with Othame, is worm in nearby, pull Othame out, so he's in the rear, and then engage. Because I think you have 1 day to actually utilize that first strike bonus from Idolocrat. Okay, he's worming back in. Again, he doesn't get any bonus from worming in like this, so I don't know if he knows that yet. Oh, saying lag. But yeah, he's gonna, this is a brick wall. There's no armor piercing here. These infiltrators do 14 damage. The squires have, I guess this one hit by a grenade, has 6 armor. Okay. Up in Harkland, Hark's gonna go to the toilet. But yeah, I think this is smart. If you're gonna do maximize your hedge, for sure go down Symbols of Authority before going for Chome support. This is totally fine. I tend to like Chome support. I also like mechanization a lot, but this is a fair call out from Corrino, right? Corrino's not good at choming. He's calling out a faction that is good at choming, and the only other ones to really help with choming is probably going to be Ecaz, which Ecaz has 1 spice field, 2 spice fields, 3 spice fields now. But it's not really tooled out. The main base has really been focusing on him maintaining his ability to fight off Fremen here in the early game. He's done a very good job of doing that. We kind of see one of the issues with early aggro is you can run into this sort of issue, right? Now, let's say Fremen actually captures this deep desert and liberates this. He basically has to kill Ecaz. And this is actually pretty hard for Ecaz if Fremen was able to capture this bunker and have a triple bunker on Acid Lakes. I don't see Ecaz getting rid of that easily, especially if Fremen can drop a Thumper and deal with the slow army. So this was very much kind of a do-or-die thing for Fremen, capturing this and then maybe killing off Ecaz and playing a hedge game on half the map.
Yes, my lady Archduchess.
This is Fremen, I think, having just a little inexperience with some of the unit matchups. He doesn't have a main base built out. His economy still not doing so hot. But again, missing out on really important techs that he needs for combat and scaling into late game with his fuel cells, or his ceremonial caves rather. 1, 2, there goes 3, 4, 5. Bummer. Corrino, on the other hand, is kind of maximizing, it sounds like, some of his eco stuff to try to deal with the Chome. He's gone with the triple red, doubled up, and then he's gone with another. So he's going to have 90 passive slurry production by doing this in the second. He won't have a whole lot of intel, but with Fenring, remember, he can just pick up all these POIs around the map to max out his intel pretty easily. He doesn't have any intel production right now, though, and I think, again... Oh, he has Imperial Administration, finally. Good. Looking at the state of it, right? I think he's doing just fine. Hark has finally got his Overlord up, which is great. And he should also bank enough material for 1 or 2 more. So looks he started the assassination, and Corrino has nobody. Corrino's not gone for Emperor Eyes. Before you go down here as Corrino, it's almost always worth going down Emperor Eyes, just cutting this off. Usually month 5, 6, you can get it before you hit valuable trinkets. And that's just going to, especially if you have a lobby with a Hark, it's worth doing just to make sure you don't get caught. Yeah, Fremen's power scaling and faction matchups are a little tricky. They can definitely muster up really strong early game stuff. The Ecaz army is really good though, right? And if someone knows how to play Ecaz, they can do very well. Feeding here seems to really understand how they work. It's just using this comp of squires and a bunch of muskets for DPS in the back. And this is going to be hard for, again, it's going to be very engagement based. He's doing a good job here, right? Right now, Fremen just doesn't have his techs. He doesn't have what he needs to actually fight, and he's not scaling. He's gone for border defenses instead of maxing out his military and improving his economy that he can sustain it. So we'll see what he ends up doing. But he doesn't have Othame anymore. He doesn't have any Fadakin going into an armored comp. The
We serve to the best of our capacity.
Yeah, Fremen, I wouldn't say Fremen's overpowered. I think that they have some really strong matchups and some really, really weak matchups.
Fair lady.
Into like a Corrino orbital, the whole army just melts completely. It's bonkers. Without that Worm Riding First Strike, the army itself is... The DPS is good, but if you spread out a bit, or if you're able to run away while you're being attacked, you can actually avoid a whole lot of the problems that Fremen usually has with getting a jump on someone. And then with Othame, as you saw in that last fight, right, if he pulled back his muskets to be out of range of Othame, if Othame's very much in the back and he has his muskets in the back of his line, Othame won't actually hit the muskets and the DPS will be preserved. So that's how you would play this, is Othame would be over here, right, with a 50 range on his aura, and these are here with a 35 range on their attack. So that's how you deal with Fremen and Othame, especially. Without Othame, the army will just melt. It's not, doesn't have the survivability of other factions. Because in order to have the DPS and the heavy hitter Fadakin, they have to give up a fair bit of durability.
Yes, my lady Archduchess.
But that's why it's tricky, right? The Ideala Crab Worm Riding tech lets them get on you, and lets you dictate as Fremen the terms of engagement. But you can also mitigate those risks as Ecaz, right? You can still spread out your units a bit when you're waiting. You can wait on your solid rock underneath, you know, your military base and your missile batteries, and that'll usually do what you need. It sounds like Corrino is wondering why he's getting assassinated. He's discovered it at 64%, not 80, but it sounds like maybe he doesn't understand how Hark goes burr. And this is probably a little bit of an error here. Now, this is a pretty girthy vetted army. These melee conscripts do not need to be in this comp. You can just go with Sards, I think. What he has to watch out for is this Overlord decimating. I actually didn't see him come down. These gunners should be focusing down the Sards too. And it looks like, yeah, all the executioners died up front. So yeah, he's gonna clean this up just fine. Now, if we take a sneak peek at what the sneaky Hark bastard's doing, let's take a look. There's a cell here. That cell's probably not gonna get detected. That's a really clever cell, actually, because it's not where you'd think it would be. It's smart because this Corrino base has stealth detection, right? So this area around is detecting stealth. So if you try to go in here, he'd either get detected and blown up, or he might just get detected and he'll know it's on the sink. Maybe it'll also detect Worm's Nest, I'm not sure. Depends on the angle you go at. But it certainly won't detect this one up here, and why would you even think about that region? The second cell for Hark, let's see where else he put it. Okay, fuel cell. Again, another one where I actually think is pretty smart. I would say of the two other regions, yes, this one here makes some sense, it being isolated. So if you're Corrino, you're gonna search this village to get these 4, and then probably this village to get these, and then you have all these satellite. Yeah, so these extra regions are tough. I think on a spice field makes sense too, right?
Yes.
Now the problem here is, so this is something that I've seen happen too, when using Ramallo, which they don't really tell you about, which is that these Fremen rebellions from Ramallo's ability will actually force this to count as being occupied and under siege. As a result, you can't actually put this assassin into the village until you clear this rebellion. And so if Hark now wants to assassinate Corrino, he needs to send this assassin into a village that does not have a rebellion. Which, he has optional targets. I just don't know if Hark knows that yet. It looks like Hark maybe... Well, that's right, the Assassination Summit. Corrino forced that through. Well, there goes that. Ecaz is going to be able to take this spice field. So now Ecaz has 1, 2, 3, 4 spice fields. Has his fuel cells. Going to get a second fuel cell down in the south. And so now we have 4 spice Ecaz. Which is definitely chomeable. And honestly, he doesn't need an Imperial Basin here. He can just go up here, take this, and have another Sanctuary, which it would give him a versatile spice field here. Yeah, we'll see what he goes with. Looking globally again, so Hark has re-prepped their assassination. It just can't go yet due to Imperial Summit. He still has his cells in place. And Corrino now has a prepared cell search. So the likelihood that Corrino gets assassinated should be pretty low, right? They should be able to build their detection in these border villages. They should be able to be ready that when it's detected, they can begin searching it. Some tidying up for Corrino here. So this fuel cell region does not get upkeep production. So if he switches this around, he'd be in a good spot. Now, how can he switch it around? Well, like I said, spice silo instead of wholesale or plasticrete factory. That'll be one. You can have one investment office, or get rid of this research hub and then build a second fuel cell factory. And I'd probably also give a second recruitment office, because there's a versatile region. You know, I'd rather probably have the extra manpower production, since you're going to be getting extra production. That's what I would do for this region. For this one, again, it's fine. Airfield, okay, sure. He doesn't really, you know, I think you're better off just making... I think you just make this investment office, honestly. Just go with the production, especially worried about the chome. This region here, right, also missing out on any of its upkeep production. So I think in almost all of his villages, no, maybe not all, I shouldn't exaggerate. In many of his villages, he's missing out on that upkeep production that he has the opportunity to do. And even on ones where, again, he's going to have to change this at some point into a hegemony building too, right? So he'll need his craft workshop here. So striping like this doesn't make sense right now. This should probably be a military base and the airfield up here or something like that. Or you can double military base or put a military base in like a manpower recruitment office. For the center here, also missing out on it. So it's just a lot of missed opportunities for upkeep production. For Fremen, yeah, right. These caves are actually really, really important for him. These little weird orgy caves that Fremen gets. But they are not alone gonna keep his economy floating. They're just gonna contribute, right? So if we take a look here, he's got geothermal condenser or shared transcendence done. He's not researching. Oh, he needs to finish up his red tech. He's getting 1 knowledge from it, and then 10 Solari. And then from his wind trap, he's getting the 12 water with the 3 from the quirk. And then he's getting an extra 4 knowledge from the wind strength here. But he's missing out on, you know, a lot of opportunities here to improve his eco. And again, even with just this, this cave basically counts as 2, right? This is 10% instead of 5 normally. So he's got 20% extra power on his units if he builds this one out. 4 caves is also good enough to really contest late game factions. If you only have 2 caves, it's kind of a struggle. But 4 caves definitely gives a pretty noticeable difference. And that's because you're going to scale a lot of your armor and your damage buffs past some of that armor. So let's take a look here at Ecaz. Ecaz has secured his borders, secured his economy. He's got the eco that he needs up front. He's coming down for wonders, so he's going to play a hedge game. Then he needs to really come down here and begin contesting Hark's Chome a little bit, too. I think that'd be helpful. He might just opt to go to border defenses, though, to really trivialize Fremen attacking him in the late game. But honestly, I don't think Fremen's going to be able to get past this. Looking at Ecaz, the other thing you can do is a very aggressive use of a garden to tank the Landstrat of Hark and prevent them from choming. So the biggest risk doing that is you're going to get assassinated on it. You can't abandon your garden.
Yes, my lord.
So this is a very clever Vapors. But if you look at the terrain here, I don't think a Worm's going to be able to get in there. Ideally, you could do a Thumper and a Vapors and really kind of force them into a no-win situation if that village were in the center of this region. But here, you can just retreat right here. Right? So this is a region that I don't think Hark can take off Corrino and hold. But we'll see what his plan is. Let's go and Chomp support after symbols, good. Okay, Giric, and Corrino's going to be eligible for Gov if he gets a shorter. Yeah, the Fremen Spice Caves, where the cool people hang out. Let's see, I'm not sure where Ecaz wants to put their... They're going to use it aggressively, or if they're going to wait a minute. Okay, the assassination is back on. There's now a Horizon for Corrino, so because Hark assassinated for it, he'll start at 50% or get detected 50%. But yeah, this is one of the situations where it still does not really favor Hark. He does have a military base next to it. Corrino doesn't? Wow, Corrino doesn't either. Oh, Corrino does. It's just disabled over here. Okay. The Overlord being nearby is a huge, you know, it's going to be hugely beneficial. But the composition, right? All of these are going to die up front. And he's going to lose Overlord here if he's not careful. But this is a lot of Sarge to deal with. And these gunners need to focus down the Sarge. But again, one Sarge is all you need to really have them execute all these guys. And he's not using Urban's ability, which gives Urban a ton of durability, right? If you take a look at how his ability uses, when you use it, he'll get 1 armor, 1 power for everyone here on his own team. So we'll get like probably 10 or 12 armor, which 10 or 12 armor on Urban, right? If he has an armor of like 18, these conscripts do 1 damage to him. So that's the perk of using that ability, is his damage gets massively increased, but his armor gets to the point where you can't really actually hurt him with a lot of units. Okay, we have this going. What does his intel production look like? Okay, yeah, this is enough. So he'll be fine doing that. Fremen looks like they're going for... I don't know what Fremen's going for, actually. I don't know if he wants to help kill a base or who he's talking to, but... Maybe is Fremen going to come up here and try to liberate? is, and I'm not sure. Maybe just waiting? I'm a little perplexed. Because usually Fremen doesn't want to help across map. And usually, if your neighbor's Ecaz,
Yes,
your cross
my
map's
lady?
going to benefit Ecaz a lot, because Ecaz can expand very well with all the authority protection they get from their sanctuaries. So I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here from Fremen. It looks a little unusual. He's talking to Ecaz, but maybe he's going to help Corrino attack Hark? It's kind of hard to say. And meanwhile, it looks like Ecaz is going to maybe take an opportunity to
Any way I
attack
can
Fremen.
serve you,
So
my lady?
whatever scheming is going on here
We're
kind of needs to
eager
have
for
Ecaz
new
involved, because Ecaz is
adventures.
just going to push into Fremen.
Our
If
lives are yours.
Fremen wants to help Corrino, what they can say is, I'm going to help Corrino with this. Ecaz,
We're
go take
eager
White
for
Rift,
new
right?
adventures.
Ecaz would love to take White Rift. And then they can get done
On
whatever
watch.
they need to get done here.
Just say the word.
Let's take a look at Hark. So Hark able to get another assassin in, and then it's going to proc in just a second. You'll see at 50%, it'll be detected automatically. That's the minimum, or the max threshold at which you get detected. So you see they're turned, and so now Corrino sees what's happening. There's the orbital, which is going to be hugely damaging. And the Sards are going to feast. Look at them go. That's okay, right? You have Kudu, you can recruit faster as Hark than Corrino can. So just retreat, heal up, finish these for sure, right? He should turn and fight these, 100%. Wipe these so he can't rebuild as easily, and then he'll still have to spread out a lot to be able to capture all these. So he's going to get this early one up front. This game is bugged, he says. We'll see what that means. Fremen, meanwhile, is at home. Fremen still has not produced a Fadakin. So still missing out on a pretty important unit in his arsenal against armor. Corrino's raging about detecting. He's just exaggerating a little bit. We know how it works. It detects at 50% if you sacrifice for the assassination as Hark. This is smart from Hark to keep up the pressure here, right? So use Overlord, get these things in, good. And then he can retreat, and this is just attrition, right? So it's actually a very interesting interaction. So let's say Corrino sends a Sardaukar to investigate the cell. Corrino can actually, when there's a Fremen rebellion like this, you can search the cell while it's under rebellion, and these units are just going to attack you. They don't do a whole lot of damage though, so it should be okay if you send like a hero or a Sardaukar, for example. So Corrino can actually search this cell while it's in this state. However, because it's under siege, then considered in combat for Hark, Hark cannot send an assassin into that region. So Hark's only usable cell is here. Now, let's say that Corrino actually finds this and investigates it. It looks like he just did. So he just cell searched here, and he found the cell, so he's going to search it. Oh, you know, he actually might not even be able to see this cell icon because of the rebellion. But once this is investigated, Hark won't be able to refresh the assassination until this is gotten rid of. However, because there's still a cell here, it's going to progress. So Corrino needs to clear this in order to stop the assassination at this point. And Hark needs it cleared in order to refresh the assassination. But it's going to be completely dependent on whether Hark's able to get one more assassin into this region. If he is, then Hark will probably do it, because I don't think Corrino understands this little distinction in how this works. And also, he has a lot more he has to investigate, right? That cell could be down here, it could be over here, it could be any of these places. Fremen land, finally building some main base buildings, great. His bazaar up, he's got no cave over there. And looking at spice and everything. So the Chill market's going to open up for Hark in a real way. And so Hark, let's see what the exchange rate looks like. 2.2 right now. So, you know, if he, oh, he doesn't even have his Chome building. Yeah, I mean, if Hark transitions into a Chome game, I think Hark wins this, you know? He's a real opportunity here. Okay, so we got the last cell. Here's the assassin running away. So you can take a look here. So it's still continuing. Progress is still going to be factored in here because he's got an agent still assigned to this cell. However, he can't throw this guy in here, into this cell, because it's currently under attack, under siege. So this is going to keep ticking. It's going to slow down, but it's going to keep ticking. This can actually complete. And looks like he might lose Sandfall from all this, which would be a huge loss. He needs to fly up there yesterday, you know. Oh no. He's gonna lose it. Oh my god. Oh, that's a massive loss. This is such an important region. Jeez. Okay, so it looks like he was able to abandon, and so this should not finish now. I believe he's successfully defended against assassination with that abandoning. But man, what a crazy, very good game sense from Corrino to realize that's where it was. Okay. Looks like the rest of them are still getting up, so Ecaz is now going to go down their Chome. Right? If that assassination had gone off and Hark put up a Chome branch and started really kind of trying to Chome pretty hard, I think he could certainly have won on Chome. Fremen doesn't have any eco right now. Ecaz doesn't have any spice eco really, but is working on it. Looking at his, yeah, you know, I don't think he has a spice silo. So he needs a spice silo here. He's got a cruise harvesters up. He's got to probably change out his militia at some point. Get office of order up. And yeah, this one up here too. So definitely has opportunity to max out his ecos as Hark here. He has all the tech that he needs. Just Chome support's missing. But yeah, close. Ecaz is, it looks like, gonna commit to killing Fremen. I don't know if it's better to kill Fremen or just farm him for trophies.
To you, my lady.
My instinct is, oh, Fremen actually might get a jump on the muskets here. It'd be pretty bad. Yeah, awesome. Again, some Fdakin in here would be really, really nice. Students have an answer to these knights with 12. Just establish good damage. He's gonna lose a lot of manpower here, Ecaz. And okay, he's targeting the war banner, good. Awesome. This is a definite blunder from Ecaz. I don't understand this move, really. With that said, Fremen's comp is not right for this at all. There's no oathing, but this is not the right comp. And if he tries to take this, he's going to lose all that. He doesn't hold this, right? Frem's going to recuperate. He's going to... he's just going infiltrators. Weird, yeah. Again, a few Fadakin and this whole thing's dead, then he can retake what he lost. Well, I don't know if he'd retake it, but apply some pressure for sure. But there's no way that
I'm glad to be of service.
leave order. Oh, this is funny. You almost never see anyone use leave order because
Any way I can serve you, my lady.
I mean, it's just such an awkward ability. It's 100 slurry per, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It takes a minute to get off, so it's not going to be done by the time he's done attacking here. But Fremen can just come in here and delay it long enough, and he shouldn't let him pillage this. He should actually go and wipe the rest of this army. But he needs different units. This is not the unit comp into Ecaz, right? He needs to keep the skirmisher alive. He needs to get some Fadakin. He needs to keep the donkeys away from all these fuckers. And this is just micro. He's going to get out microed by the Ecaz here. But does he have a supply drop? He's working on it.
We serve to the best of our capacity. Our lives are yours.
This is crazy to watch.
Any way I can serve you, my lady.
More war banners coming in. An odd choice.
I'm glad to
And
be
there's
of
Epic
service.
Quest. So Widmore's going to be able to survive, probably. I think if he consumes his trophies, he might be able to even live, but... No, he's using his trophies here. Maybe he won't. Maybe I spoke too soon. Or will he? This battery's doing work.
Yes, my lady. Our lives are yours.
Whitmore's just getting trophies, but he's chewing through them. This is so funny to watch. Wow. Mind-boggling. I don't understand this one bit. Does he not have any money? Is that why he's not making Fadakin? I don't understand. He doesn't have any manpower. Wow. Strange, strange stuff. That was not worth it for Ecaz. At all. I think that was what he got 1.6k from pillaging that region and lost his entire army, all of his veterancy, no trophies. Kind of odd. Yeah. Definitely overextended there. And that was not even like a big or strong Fremen army, right? That was just 3 missile batteries shooting. It's only one of them was shooting at the end, but once he's on this region, 3 missile batteries shooting into a blob, which, killing these is probably easier than... It's probably on par with killing a Fremen militia. So maybe it's worth focusing these down and going back and then coming back. I'm not sure. But if he takes these, he's going to go for a base kill on Fremen. Is that going to help him win? I don't know. Probably not. I don't think Fremen gets into any of these territories from here on out. I think his better bet is probably to come over here and fight over the spice field, go for White Rift. Hark is in the lead. He has an Instill Fear. He has stacks on this region, right, from Instill Fear, but he also lost this region. So if you take a look at Hark, Instill Fear also gives you a 50% reduction in authority capture costs from past ownership, right? That's under the Instill Fear tech. So he can retake this for 100. He can take this for 161. So Hark can take 2 specials for 260 authority, which I'm sure he has in the bank, yeah. But all he needs to do is just keep pillaging. Pillage all these, let his passive cook a little bit more, maybe in a land strat or 2. Probably after one more land strat of cooking, he just captures it all. But he needs to pillage these. And he needs to also really work on making Corrino unready or unwilling to fight. So, put a thumper down onto the entrance. Put your toxic vapors. Great.
Something I have in abundance.
And then you put a thumper once he gets up here. Thumper in this region. It needs to come over here and pillage. But it's all about zoning stuff out and forcing him to deal with these.
No one compares to Sardaukar.
Are you well?
Now, Ecaz is at 18k hedge, Fremen's at 12. Fremen's out of this game. Ecaz is not. Right, if Ecaz kills, let's say, 4 buildings in 4 militia, 4 buildings, 4 militia, this is 1600 hedge from fighting Fremen. He's pretty close to Corrino, right? If he fights into a Raban Hark territory, he's looking at 1100 hedge. So he can definitely bounce back. This is not a huge decrement for Ecaz. And if you have like a Knight hero, a Squire hero, and Whitmore, you just send them into different villages at once. You can clear them all pretty quickly and just spike 3k. He's going to keep up the pressure on Fremen here. I think he wants to kill Fremen, I think. And so he's going to try to take this. I don't think he doesn't capture that. Oh my gosh, this is a bad engagement for Corrino. Now he needs to focus down these Sards, and then he has it. But he needs to focus down these Sards with these gunners. It's just a lot of them. Oh no.
The Overlord is watching.
The tigers
This
are
little guy
beautiful,
go.
Father.
Looks like Hark was able to stop the capture up here. He's going to probably pillage it, my guess. Yeah. And then he just needs to replenish here, right? He replenishes faster with Uman Kudu, and he has a really good source of attrition in this Overlord. So just have this Overlord come here, and this Overlord right now would actually one-tap with Sikia. Come on. Sacrifice some. Oh, wow. They went up there. Okay. Awesome. And now these gunners can definitely... Oh, I didn't see these RE drones back here. Clever. So we need to be careful with this, right? One thing that the Kronos does is it increases the damage that units take. So this Overlord can go down pretty quickly because it's currently taking 30% more damage from this disoriented ability from the Kronos. So you can see it, its health is plummeting, right? So he needs to get this out. So he's going to lose it. These gunners usually do a fair good bit of damage against a Kronos. They just need lower health to be able to do so. But he needs to be very cautious here. He's going to lose this. He doesn't need to be fighting here either, right? I think he's now noticing this Kronos is going to go down. Big, big blunder. Maybe he can get out? I'm not sure. Oh.
You need my help, hey, Uncle?
Wow. Just barely. Now these guys are low on health, they're doing a ton of damage. Each of these shots is now going to do plenty up here. That's a very clever use of combat drugs. That actually might be enough to kill this. Awesome. So he's going to be able to win this fight, Hark. And this is the attrition battle, right? Looks like Ecaz handily won this territory. Not entirely sure what his plan is here. But Hark's doing the right thing. Hark is fighting over these specials that he needs. He's fighting Corrino, who's his main competitor. He's vapored his own guys, which is a move. It's one of the moves of all time. And it looks like, interesting, so Corrino reflexively put a an orbital here. I assume so that he couldn't come up here to replenish easily. But let's take a look at the manpower production. So we got 34 for Hark. Offensive order taking a chunk out. He probably needs more, especially if you have Kudu. If you're going to play really aggressively like this, you probably need closer to 40 or 50 manpower production, net manpower production. Because right now he's losing 12 from the offensive order. So I would maybe bump that up so he can really keep up the pressure here. He's probably, yeah, he's fully maxed out here, and then he's going to have to replenish. Corrino's got 60 manpower production, right? And so that's why he's able to keep this up pretty handily. And I think Hark is struggling a little bit with that tempo. But you can see, Corrino is probably going to be at 50 CP, 45 CP. Hark's already maxed out again. So Hark needs to just keep pressing and use Kudu's ability to overwhelm and push through. It's all about this tempo and just getting this grind in. And if you use Nefud, right, Nefud lets you trigger an ability on units that decreases their health over time but gives you a refund on their manpower when they die. So you can really just throw in waves and waves of units to kill the enemy and then recruit faster with Kudu and put down an admin burden. And you can really push through any other faction, including Corrino. Ecaz is going to go up here. Now, Ecaz needs to start thinking a little critically about how he's going to do this, because if he kills too much more, he's going to look like he's in the lead or close to it. Which he is. And he has two options. He can either lean in and say, okay, I'm going to just kill everything I can to get as many trophies as I can, which is fine. But if he does, I think he just wants to kill this base out of principle at this point. And he's got a pocket sanctuary. So yeah, I mean, Ecaz here, maybe you just lean in, right? And you focus on them being so disoriented they can't do much. Here's a donkey coming out to play with the monument. He's gonna run away. Donkey meets... Oh wow, close.
Muskets are loaded.
Are we needed?
The Monument of Eternal Grace reports to you, Archduchess.
This is very fun. I've never seen Leave Order used before. This is amazing. This is a pretty heated battle up here. The other thing you can do as Hark into this is just, if you have the intel to spare, which, you know, they often do, it's just an assassin. Just spawn one, kill the Sard, reset the clock. So yeah, it looks like he's going to opt for going the trophy route. Just as he pillages this, he needs to refresh the pillage so that he can keep killing these units.
We're a beacon of light in the dark.
Yeah, it's very odd not to have any Fadakin. Right, Fadakin's really the Fremen answer against armor. Squires are tanky, Knights have lots of armor. Feds bypass half that armor, so that's why they're super useful. But they also have nice AoE cleave against the Squire blob up front.
Yes, my lady Archduchess.
Interesting. Okay. Didn't see this coming. This is always an option if you have Ramallo, because you get that intel production too. Fremen should be able to hold this, but again, I'm just not sure what he's going. He has some manpower, yeah. And the other thing you can do is, yeah, deploy these, kill this monument, right? He can freeze this and kill this monument, and then go after the rest of the army. He'll be fine. He shouldn't die here.
Are we needed?
But I think he's probably preoccupied by this assassination. I'm not sure where he's come. Oh, he's spawned up here. That's why.
I'm on the clock.
So let's see where Fremen's assassination is actually. His cells are. One there. Okay. One there. They're next to each other. That's not helpful. Okay. Back up to the actual battle up here happening between Hark and Corrino. Hark can come up here and grab this in a second, and then grab his back territories, and then I think he wins. It's probably how Hark should play this, is cap what you've already capped, right? This is going to be 100. If he pillages a siege nearby, that's going to give him a ton too, right? If you remember, Hark has symbols of authority and savage cleansing, so we can get a lot of authority from pillaging a siege. But he has this for 49, 48, 104. So about 200, 210 authority. He can capture all three of those. That's going to be 3,200, which puts him at 28.8, right? 28.5. Then a spice tax in 20 days. So he can win this month if he just plays that kind of conservatively and holds people off. And then Corrino's down here to go after Fremen?
The turret is a nice gift from our enemies.
And Ecaz is in the pits of Eco. Wow. How did he end up so low? What's going on? Saving a bit. So Fremen can defend this. Oh my god, there's an orbital from Corrino. This is a wild play on so many levels. This could theoretically give Ecaz what they need for a spike at the end. But this is a very nice trap they've sprung. Is it going to be enough, though? I don't know. It's going to be able to wipe this army. If Fremen just plays this a little bit better, I think Fremen can retake this, too. Should be able to liberate this easily, right? On the upside, Hark is taking what was his, and this here, and then he'll have one more to take at the end. He just needs to hold on for the next 16 days. Fremen was able to get that assassination going, so he's at 48%. Ecaz doesn't have any money, so he can't afford the operation he needs. He also doesn't have any chome. So he just abandoned a spice field up front, just reflexively. And the question is, can he convince Ecaz that he has a cell in this region?
Arrakis is our home.
And again, this is one where he needs to pull this back, just get one warrior closest to this turret to aggro it.
Yes.
The turret is a nice gift from our enemies. Are we needed?
Sork has one more territory in the back to capture. Fremen can always send some stealth units over there to pillage it or prevent it from capturing. Let's take a look over here.
On watch.
So Hart did well. He's able to capture these territories, use his operation stuff against Corrino. Corrino's usually a pretty tough adversary for Hark, but you can see he's used these operations so many times. Oops. So he's got toxic vapors used 9 times. It only costs 81 to sack for now. Insane. Other stuff looks like decoy thumper sacked for a few times. Combat drugs. All these like basic ones are always nice to use, but stuff like vapors for 81 in this at this point of the game is so strong, right? That just shuts down a reach. Same with the thumper, honestly. And when you're fighting this much, right? Hark, every 20 units they kill, they're going to get a bonus brainwash agent they can use. And it wouldn't be a Arrakis without a bit of salt. Always some salt. Now, do they have an answer to Hark at this point in the game? Well, tax is in for 10 days. It takes 6 days to liberate. They can also force him to miss a tax, but it kind of depends on him not having a stockpile, which he has. So he's going to make tax. He is... You always go for base kill. Not a lot of time for that either. And then I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I mean, Ecaz can press in the south. Fremen can cause havoc. Even go up here in the north and liberate Sandfall, where they have a siege up there. And Corrino can probably press on Mundu. So if they wanted to take this off Hark, they can do it. He does not have the operations. I don't think he's actually built up in the south to fight against Ecaz here, right? And this is also trophies for Ecaz. Let's see here. Speaker goes to Hark for 75. Fremen gets the main base. Authority decrement is not going to help them too much. Hark just needs like 50 in order to take his territory. And that's, you know, just picking up a POI if you can find one. lot of abandoned regions from Ecaz. Looks like he was able to stop it, though.
We're at your
Oh no, his
service.
Kronos went down too. Bummer.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that, you know, I think Ecaz has everything they need taking these regions. They have the potential to spike. They have a border territory with Hark militia. Granted, this is unpleasant to run back through, because you could thumper this and vapors this, right? But he also has this bunker up here. This is plenty of militia buildings for him to take and a White Rift. So I would have thought that he would have looked at this as a pretty secure bunker. Maybe he captures this, bunkers this up. I think he doesn't have border defense yet. And yeah, still no garden either. But then he can actually focus on Hark, and Hark has so many more bodies to get trophies from, right? You can spike 3k on a Hark combat. Because each of these guys, these Serbs, is going to give you 100 hedge. Each of these little unchained Serbs that pops out, another. And so, you know,
Do you need us?
this here would be an amazing opportunity to wipe this and spike.
Your Majesty?
Yeah, it's a lot of Kronos is dead. The donkeys are doing their best. But you know, these gunners, once they get low on health, with Bird Slayer, if you put combat drugs down, they will chew through capital ships. And the moment that capital ship gets below 40% health, they do so much more damage, an extra 40% damage, right? Military base, you get 20%. If you add in the combat drugs, another 30%. So these guys can do insane amounts of damage. Just like 3 or 4 of them I've seen take down stuff like an Ecaz Monument or a Kronos. But he can come here and win this pretty handily. I think he doesn't need to, you know, worry about this up here. Here's another Vapors about to pop up. He does the Vapors, a Thumper. He comes up here on the border and he wipes it. That's easy defense. Honestly, he doesn't even need all these units. He just probably send the Overlord around this top route. Oh, he's going to try to engage him. Looks like Fremen's going to try to march across, hold him up a bit. And that's a solid solid orbital. I don't think it's going to help him though. He's out of supply too. Rough. Rough.
Anything for you, Baron.
Well played to Hark. Hark kept his head down a bit, played his game, challenged Corrino meaningfully. Nearly had an assassination get through. But did a really good job of spamming Vapors and these other operations. Take a look. Again, 98 intel to get a Vapors up. And since he's attacking, he gets these brainwash agents, he just tosses them back in. And the benefit is, if you just have enough, like a Bene Gesserit or two, like he has here, when you sacrifice an agent, they can't be detected, so they can't be captured. So you won't lose levels on the on your necessary information fields. If you fight, you get a brainwash, you just sacrifice it again. You just keep sacrificing those agents. And as long as you stay around like 8 or 9 agents, you'll replenish these pretty freaking quickly if you've gone down your blue line. And so he's able to really spam those, maintain his agent numbers, his intel from fighting, right? Every time that with the interrogation center that he kills an enemy unit, he gets 10 intel. And so he kills 10 enemy units, he basically pays for one of those you know, on his own. With these double blues, he gets another 10 per day. So he can continually do these with a little bit of passive. Other thing you can do is if you're going to be in a slightly different situation, is you can always go with some agents with Landstrat Whispers. If you do try to go down more of like a political Hark, you get extra passive intel production from Landstrat Whispers by having people on Landstrat agents. So sacrificing those brainwash agents, fighting so you get more agents, and you can put a scav team down too if you want to convert that into Slari. But really, really good.